Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Success Is Dope podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Wallington. Thank you guys for joining. Um, I have a good brother in my presence right now, a friend, and I can honestly say a Renaissance man. Seriously, anything that you could think of, he can do it. He knows how
Thank
to
you.
do it. If he doesn't know how to do it, he'll figure out a way to know how to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sam Dupervil. What's going on, brother?
Hey man, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thank you for having me, man.
Hey, listen, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. For those who don't know, Mr. Duperville, he is a serial entrepreneur, and like I said, seriously, he everything that you could think of, he's done it. Every business, every situation, he's experienced it, and he has really put himself out there to figure out what works best for him. And part of this success series that we're doing is really around, what does success look like? What does it sound like? What does it, how does it move? And so Sam is a perfect person I wanted to bring on for that, for this series here. And I'll start it off how I start off with most of my guests here. What would you say is your definition of success?
Ooh, okay. All right. I, I mean, when I think about success, at first I used to think that it's okay. It's about the fancy cars and it's in the house and it's like when you're thinking about what you want to do when you're a child, and then actually obtaining those things. But as I get older and I get my hands dirty and I've done so much since being a child, I realized that success is in the doing. Like it's in the action. It's not in the it's like, okay, what do I want to be when I grow up? And it's like success is in the taking the step. It's in the I'm going to school, I'm grinding it out. I'm doing the things that I've always wanted to do. And I don't see success as like a destination. I see it as a journey. I see it as what you're going through and what you're doing. So the success is in the doing. And so I think that's what if I was to like put it wholeheartedly into it, I think my favorite basketball player said it the best, man. When Kobe retired, his thing was, I'm trying to catch Jordan,
Right.
and and then he realized that it wasn't the trying to catch Jordan, it was everything he was doing during that was
Leading
the
up.
success.
No, I love that. Now, what I didn't specify here, so let me backtrack here real quick. Okay. So,
Yeah.
I mean, Sam has been a restaurant, a cupcake owner, owner of a cupcake shop. He's had an event planning company. He's done real estate. He's done it all, and is a and is investing in small businesses right now. I mean, he's done everything, and it's
Yeah.
all led up to him actually wanting to invest in other people. Um, what was what was the core synergy? What was the core reason for that transition into that?
You know, the crazy thing about that, I think you're the first person to ever ask me that. Like, and it's interesting
Well,
because
that's why I asked it.
I, I've done so much, and it's wild because, like, leading up to this interview, I was kind of asking myself that, right? And I started to realize that it started young. Um, my mom was a mother of four. She, a single mother of four. And as you can imagine, finances for a single mother of four who's a Haitian immigrant in Atlanta was rough. She wasn't super educated. She I think she dropped out of school in maybe eighth grade, and so she did kind of odd jobs and all types of different things until and so the only way, because now that I'm adult, I kind of sort of see like, yo, how did she raise us and be able to
Right.
financially afford four children by herself? But she always had that hustler spirit, bro. Like she always had that like, I'm gonna go out and get it, and I'm going to do something different. Man, my mom sold Avon Mary Kay. She sold outside. I mean, she was like, the let out after church, selling drinks and food, like all kinds of things. And I kind of fell into it because my mom doesn't speak English, and she doesn't read or write. And so, as an immigrant child, as a child of an immigrant, um, you have to kind of do things for your parents. And so when she's out here selling Mary Kay to her coworkers and Avon to her coworkers and stuff like that, she made me in charge of like writing up the receipts and like filing and creating their order. I would actually do the order form for them, for my mom. And so I'm talking about like elementary school, writing up receipts and invoices for people and all of that kind of stuff. Had
Wow.
no had no clue what I was doing. I'm being honest with you. I'm just being real. I
Yeah.
just what I would do though is like when my mom would get training from the Avon people and the Mary Kay people, she would sit me right next to her, and basically she would tell them to tell me how to do it so that way I was doing tax percentages, and it was just instilled in me from that point. Like my mom always had it, even though she personally couldn't, you know, handle all the facets of her business. She always had that hustler spirit, that hustler's mentality. You know, I was talking about her selling drinks and stuff after church. Like there was this guy that used to come and sell drinks and like Haitian patties at outside of the church after the during the let out,
Yeah.
and he was selling for 50 cents a piece. So my mom was just like, okay, well look, I need gas money. So she went up to him and she was like, okay, look, I will buy all of your patties at 50 cents a piece, and you don't have to come out here and sell anymore. I will buy them from you every week. And then she marked them up 25 cents. And and for him, he was like, "Oh, this is a good deal. Like,
Yeah.
forget it.
Yeah.
I don't have to stand out here in the sun. I don't have to sell it. All you have to do is come pick it up." She pick them up. She pick them up every week. She marked them up 75 cents, and she would sell like 200-300 in after church. That'd be 50 to 75 bucks, you know, and she'd use that as gas money for the week. So it's like literally my entrepreneurial spirit came from my mom. No rhyme or reason. Like I said, Avon, Mary Kay, patties after church, whatever my mom could get her hands on. I mean, she would do, and so I just got it from that.
You know what? Number one, I think in all the conversations that you and I have had, you know, I've never known that.
Bro,
That is
I've never,
that
bro,
is
I've never said that, bro. I've never told anybody that.
wow. That is, but you know what though? I've met your mom a couple of times, and like I said, much respect to Mama Duke, man.
Yeah,
Seriously, man. Because obviously she's raised some amazing children. Um, but what you said has led me to one of my other interviews, which led me to thinking about my childhood, and I think I see the common pattern here so far.
hmm
You said that your mom had you right there with her with
right.
in all of those meetings, writing up the receipts, learning the business or
Yep.
learning something about a business. And I remember my father when he and his friends started up a business, and I remember being there after school, seeing how they would work. And so the importance, do you think that being around your mom really that truly is the reason why you are who you are now? I mean, as far as shape you as an entrepreneur or wanting to get into owning your businesses.
Dude, yeah, that's 100%. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, really, it really showed me the possibilities because what she did, with such limited resources, such limited knowledge, you know, I'm going to school, I'm learning, I'm getting sharp, I'm going to college. I'm getting to the point where I'm understanding the world. I'm working in banking, and I'm like, yo, with what I saw what she did with what she had. I'm like, yo, with what I have at my disposal, man, the sky is the limit. I'm talking about what she did, and it's not to diminish, my mom. It's really to give her the
Right.
kudos, like, yo,
Yeah.
with what she had, what she did with what she had was spectacular. Put all her kids through college, made sure everybody was good. And from from my standpoint, like, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna take the foundation of what she's shown me, and I'm gonna, put it out there, take a risk. I'm gonna invest. I'm gonna, I'm not just gonna sit and work for people only. I got to get, what I want out of life as well. And so, I think the true freedom is working for is doing things that you want to do for yourself. And I think that's what motivated me. It's like, okay, well, look at what she has and what she's done with it. I'm like, okay, so I'm out here, man. I got this. I'm gonna like it's international people make a joke. It's like, yo, you're a child of the land. They always say, okay, look at what I did, but I came from another country.
Hmm.
But you have a more opportunity because you're a child of the land. You were born here, and so I never took that lightly, man. I was like, okay, well, I have to be able to do these things.
Uh, that is, I'm seriously like I'm speechless almost because just hearing, really just kind of the genesis and really the passion that came from that though, I think is remarkable. It really is. So your mom having you around her to see all of that, it made me think about something as well because you know what? All right, I'm going to talk about me for a second here. For the
That's
past, no,
fine, bro.
no.
I want to
So
hear it.
I just started allowing my son because my daughter, she's too young to really understand, but I just started allowing my son to be around me to see me, like to see me, right? Because I'm always about the finished product is what people need to see, and that includes him.
Yeah.
But now he's at an age where it's like he needs to understand really what it is. Um, so, what do you feel like that's something that you would do with with your kids as well?
Oh man, I mean, I have no choice, bro. Like, to be honest with you, like, it's one of those things where when you're going through, you work full time, you're a full time entrepreneur, you have children. The best way to balance it is to bring them into it because you're talking about working 9 to 5 and then 5 to 9, and so
Right.
I it's crazy because when we talk about the cupcake shop, it's always funny because people see the end result when you're talking about the end result, but boy, that in between, that
Right.
that
That's the
start,
part. It's like, oh my gosh,
bro,
what in the
that
world?
that in between is where the stories lie. And
Yeah.
I mean, and me and my wife were actually joking. It's like, yeah, like we've actually had to bring our children into every aspect of the business, even us interviewing employees. Like
Oh wow.
we didn't have a babysitter. We didn't have a babysitter. We were in the middle of building the store, and we did. Our kids were like 1.5 maybe,
Hmm.
and so we had to bring them with us. And so with kids, they're not easily entertained. So, and they're not easily contained either. And so we're
Right.
interviewing people, and we literally had to put them in a big bucket, and we like dropped a ton of toys in this like bucket. Yo, we dropped a ton of toys in this bucket, and they played like in the corner while we interviewed the staff that we were getting to open the store. And so since they were kids, they were, I mean, since they were little, because they're still kids, since they were little, they were entrenched in everything that we do business wise, so that we could still spend time with them, because um it's not easy doing a lot of different things and having children, you know. And so in order to balance that, you kind of bring them into it. And to be honest with you, you're the hero. You're the person that they look up to. So they love seeing you do these things. They love being with you as you do these things. And so, that's kind of, how we go about it. I've brought them into all of it, and and also started one for them.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
But
Uh,
but 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 kudos to you though, seriously though, because you have the mental fortitude to understand that you need to do that.
yeah.
For your kids, man. Most people aren't don't they don't see that. and that's a plus, you know. So let me ask you this though.
Hmm.
All right, young kid coming out of college, $0. How do I get to where Dupe is? What are the steps? What are the steps?
Oh man, that's so difficult because it's like everybody's walk is so different. Um, but what I would say is the best thing to do is first you have to know you have to have a plan regardless. It costs $0 to make a plan. There's no money involved in it. The only thing that's involved in it is just understanding, okay, look, I am at point A and this is how I want to get to point B. Giving you an example from the standpoint of broke college kid. We were broke college kids when we started our event planning company. And so no money. We're sitting on the couch of one of my business partners' houses, eh, and we were kids that were very involved in school, and we did a lot of I threw like the first concert on my college campus. It was Young Dro, Young LA, and the
Nice.
rich kids. And so that it was great. It was amazing. Everybody was like, "Yo, you're really good at this." And my wife and my then just friend, and she's my wife now, but my then just friend and another one of my friends were just sitting on the couch like, how can we monetize this? How can we make this happen? And so because we didn't have any money, it was like maybe we could do a venue, but it was like, nah, we're broke college students. We can't do a venue. We don't have the money, we don't have the capital. So we're just
Yeah.
like, okay, but what we have is a talent for putting things together. We understand how events are supposed to happen inside and out. And so we offered ourselves as services. We're like, okay, yes, we don't have the money, but we have the intellect, the knowledge, and the know-how to put together great events. And so it always most businesses always start in some type of service. You offer yourself, and then you in exchange you get paid. And then after that you may want to put that into something tangible. Maybe a product, maybe some type of something that you can sell to other people if that's what you're into. If not, then you can create it into something that's virtual that you can give to other people. It doesn't matter what it is, but when you're starting from ground zero, you usually have to use what you have, which is yourself, in order
Right.
to get the money that you need. And we did event planning for 5 years, offering ourselves, our services, getting the stress off of individuals, when it came to event planning. And I mean, we did major concerts to big time weddings, you know, got to meet a ton of people, had extensive vendor lists. It wasn't always like that, but after doing it for so long, you get into the industry and you kind of build yourself up, and that's where we were able to get the money that we use in order to do a brick and mortar store. And so starting at no at ground zero, we sat together, we made a plan. We said, okay, we're not going to be able to do the big things now, but let's do what we can do now, which is we have a talent, we have a gift, we have a service. Let's see who wants it. And so we put together everything for free, packages, all this stuff. And at first we were doing events for we did some events for free. We did baby showers and some small like birthday parties and things like that for free, so that we can get our
Yeah.
stuff together. But then after that, you're able to build your portfolio, build your experience, and build your knowledge base, and then people will trust you with their money, and they'll trust you with their event. And so that's where we came at. And so I just think that having a plan and then actually executing is where you want to be. If you're starting at ground zero, don't think, oh man, I I don't have enough going on. You know what I'm saying? Or I don't have enough, money to fund. Man, everybody has to start from somewhere. Success is in the doing. So the minute you take that step, you're successful, man. I don't want to try to get too religious, but um, there's a lot of lessons that you learn along the way, you know,
Hmm.
and when you're young, you don't see it. But if you're, if you're a believer, you're a Christian, whatever the case may be, the Bible says the steps of a man are ordered from the Lord. When you start to take those steps, man, it opens up. It's almost like, yo, it was just waiting for you to do it.
Right. It was
you
like
know,
we've been here the entire time. We were just
yeah,
waiting for you to
we
show up.
exactly. And so, from my standpoint, make a plan and then take the steps, man.
So, listen, nuggets right there. That was gems, bombs, however you want to call it. Listen, I love that. So what I'm getting here is start from somewhere, offer yourself, success is in the doing, and build trust. That's essentially what we got.
Hey, man, and you can't go wrong with any of that. Like, if you put all that together, man, it will some good things will happen for you. Good things will happen for you. There'll be bumps in the road, but good things will happen for you if you do all of that.
So let me ask you this then. So doing all those things, when was the shift or when did it click that that we were going to go from active to going into an investor role? What was it for you that said, okay, we can do this? Or, we can put money into something passive. When did we start that role? Like what was it for you that made that click?
Yeah, I I wish I had great, like, really ridiculous, like, smart answers for you, man. But we're just crazy. Like, we
That's
we
it. Good night, everybody. Be crazy.
I,
That's it.
I
Okay.
would just
Thank
say that,
you.
like, because when you really, like, because having this conversation, you start to, like, reflect, like, when did this happen? When did this happen? And, like, the reality is, we are just crazy enough to think we can do anything. Like, we
Yeah.
together, me, because we're it's a three-part business. Me, my wife, and we have a friend that we do business with, and we always say every time, we have these moments where we sit back, we're just like, yo, we had no business doing this. Like, you're talking about, three kids, no experience. Outside of my mom selling Avon, nobody really has, like, extensive business experience, and that's not, and Avon is like, it's very, that's like
It's
starter
restricted.
business,
Yeah.
type stuff. But we always get to the point where it's just like, yo, we have no business doing this, but we see others who are successful or who we consider successful doing these things, and my thing is, I always have the audacity, man. I don't think anybody can do anything better than me, and it's not I don't want to be arrogant, because I know that I have to learn from people, but I do know that people are people. And so when you see people doing things, and you're just like, no, I'm smart enough to do that. If that person can do it, I can do it. And it's not me comparing myself to them, it's me understanding that as a human, I have to be confident in what I want out of life. And I have to be confident in myself to know that I can overcome. And that's the beauty. That's one thing I'll say that you learn in business that you may not necessarily learn all the time in just working for someone else, is like, when something goes wrong when you work for someone else, it's usually on them to kind of figure out how to maneuver, on whoever's the leader, to kind of figure out, okay, how are we going to maneuver around this issue. But when it's on you, when you're the person that has to solve all the problems, when you're the person that has to overcome all of the obstacles, you have to bet on yourself. You have to be able to
Right.
believe in yourself,
Yeah.
and you have to be able to believe in your decision making, and who you are. And so, there were times in the event planning business where we would be doing an event, and it's just like we're sitting back, we're like, yo, look at all of these people that we got out to this event. And all of this, like, all these famous people, all these famous you know vendors, and photographers. Like, it's just like, look at these people we were able to bring out. Same thing with the cupcake business. We were sitting in the Super Bowl, and we're just like, the Super Bowl in Atlanta we did that in a year, you know, and it's like we're sitting there like moment of reflection, like yo, there's there's millions of cupcake shops, and I mean thousands of cupcake shops
Mm-hmm.
in Georgia, but we're like one of 10, you know, that are able to say, hey, we're able to do the biggest event that came into town in Atlanta that year. And so it's really, and then so we get out of that and then we say, okay, well, it's time to use what we know and invest in people, you know, and and invest in real estate and invest, you know, just kind of doing some different types of investments. And I have no doubt that I'm gonna have those same moments with just saying, hey, look at where we are, look at where we've come, because once you see it once, you start to understand you're going to see it again. You're going to have those same type of feelings, those same type of reactions, and once you've done it once, you're more comfortable with doing it again. And so I think that's where we are with that. I think the reason I went into like wanting to invest in people is because I saw how long it took us to get where we needed to get.
Mm.
And we learned so much along the way, but had we known more earlier, it would have been a different ball game right now, you
Yeah.
know? And so that's, I think that's where the switch hit. It's like, yo, you know, once the pandemic hit and everybody's, I mean, I started to notice that everyone was opening a business. Everyone is trying to, you know, trying to take a leap of faith, you know, because the industries were down, there were people losing jobs, whatever the case may be. And so as I saw that, I was like, okay, well, if I'm in a position where I've been doing business 10 plus years and I've been able to be successful at several different business ventures, if I can help, I'm going to help. And I think that that's where I'm at with it. If I can help someone starting a business to understand, yo, you need to legitimate your business from the beginning, you
Right.
know, or somebody doing business say, hey, look, I don't care if you only made $10 that year. File your taxes, because that's a part of being a legitimate business in the United States. When they're asking for people to do contracts, when they're asking for people to be minority business owners, when they're asking people to, you know, to give government grants to, they want people with legitimate paperwork, not people doing business on the side, not people doing business as a hobby. They want people who are legitimately on paper, really put together. When it comes to seeing people struggle with their systems, I was able to build event planning systems, able to build cupcake systems where I never had to be in the store to make money, you know, and I knew what was going on at all times. You know,
Yeah.
those type of things are what makes a difference in business, and that's why we kind of started shifting our model a little bit.
Dog. I'm like seriously, I'm impressed, dog. Like here's the thing. Like I know all this about you, but I'm still impressed when I hear you say this. Seriously, it's like I know him. And I think that's like the coolest thing ever though. But speaking of investing in people, one thing I know that you do, I know we're gonna wrap this up here pretty soon,
Yeah, yeah.
is that you invest in businesses, but also you invest in people just in general, especially in men. And I know that that's something that you just do as a passion, just because you just want to make sure that men are in a good mental space. What was that for you? What was the genesis of that for you?
Man, the You Good Bro podcast. Thank you for plugging that for me, man.
Yes.
The
You
I
good, bro? I love that though.
I will say the genesis of that is more so like me and my brother was sitting just kind of talking and realizing that the men around us weren't necessarily equipped with the tools to deal with what was going on in everyday life. And um I think one of my friends came to my house one day, and you know he seemed to be having a struggle, and you know I could tell like it wasn't like a difficult it wasn't difficult to read. It's like, yo, I could see he's kind of going through it, and I'm like, yo, are you okay? Like everything all right on the home front? You know, all of that. And he was like, yeah, I'm fine. You know, he was like, I'm fine. Everything's cool. You know, family's great. all of this and that. And he sat on my couch that day, and that night he went home and he wanted to kill himself. And I mean, that's, sorry, trigger warning. I'm like, I should have said that, but um, that just didn't sit well with me,
Hmm.
and and of course it's not about me, but I was just saying, like, and he was unsuccessful, but had he been successful, the guilt that I think I would have felt knowing that he came from my home, you know, speaking to me when I'm like trying to figure out what's going on with him, and he can't articulate it. It maybe is, just going through it in a way that he just feels like nobody can understand what's going on, whatever the case may be. But I just felt as if, we have to open the door to men speaking about what's going on within their lives a little bit more. We have to normalize it. We have to bring it down to a basic level that men can express themselves. Men can let people know what's going on with them. Men can expose the issues that they're dealing with from a day-to-day perspective, and that's really what it's about, man. I bring men on to tell their stories. That's all I'm doing. I'm like, I don't care if it's just a random conversation. Sometimes I'm gonna put it up because people just need to hear it. And what you can't imagine how many people have been blessed by it. How many people have, you know,
Yeah.
come up to me like, "Hey, man, look, I love the podcast. I love the conversation. And so I'm just blessed that it's taken a life of its own. To be honest with you, started off as just like, hey, just a labor of love, but when I tell you I'm getting requests from people that I never thought would want to talk to me, and, and it's just crazy to see like what it's grown to, and it's just like I said, it's in the doing, man. Like every
Yeah.
time you take the step to just do, everything just opens up. When God puts something on your heart to do, man, he don't just put it on your heart. He puts it on other people's hearts as well. But if you take the steps, he's gonna give you everything you need.
Dude, I love that. And the You Good Bro podcast, I think is important because what you just said though, hearing just random conversations, because those conversations are what people are thinking in their heads anyway. And to
Yeah.
know that someone else is saying that, I think is important as well. Listen, Sam, how can people get in contact with you? How can people connect with you, bro?
Man, okay.
Because they're gonna
uh,
want to talk to you after this, though.
all
I
right.
know
Well,
as we wrap it up.
right now, I you can find me on Instagram. It's call me Dupe, CALLMEDUPE. Um, the You Good Bud podcast is the at You Good Bud podcast, and even though I don't necessarily use my business Instagram, I'm actually in a space where I know everybody's like, Instagram, I
Mhm.
believe in making money in real life. I don't like all that. I'm not saying that Instagram you can't make money, because you can, but I'm trying to limit my exposure to having to be on, like, needing to be on social media. And so, I mean, if you want to follow the business, you can. It's Your Lavish Pros. Is at Your Lavish Pros on Instagram. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it, man.
Hey, listen, Sam, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I really appreciate you coming on, spreading the wealth and the knowledge that you have and sharing it with my listeners. Thank you all for listening to Success Is D.O.P.E podcast. Make sure to subscribe and to check us out on YouTube as well as other podcast streaming platforms as well. Once again, I'm your host, Brandon Watlington. Take care. Peace.